This is StarTalk. This is StarTalk. I'm your host, Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist, and today is Cosmic Queries Primate Edition. And we've got an anthropologist who specializes in primate behavior right in studio with us with Natalia Reagan.
Hello, how are you?
Natalia. You're brand new one of our StarTalk All-Stars.
I'm very excited.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Chuck Nice.
Hey.
It was good to have you as my co-host.
Of course.
Donning an Einstein t-shirt.
Indeed.
Very nice.
Yes.
And lately, you're host of Playing with Science.
That's correct.
With a new spinoff of StarTalk. And you know why we spun this off? I'll tell you.
Why?
Because we did StarTalk on all manner of topics, and some of them would be sports. And the sports ones had their own following.
That's right.
And we said, let's feed them.
Let's feed those sporters.
Feed them.
That's right.
Just give them all they want.
And Gary O'Reilly, who was a former footballer.
A Brit footballer. As they say.
Or as my daughter calls it, feetball.
Feetball, good.
Because football is an American sport, so she calls feetball.
Mm-hmm.
And, we get into all manner of science as it relates to sports. It's really cool.
And I wanted to rename football because hardly anyone puts their foot on it.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah. So what
would you call it?
Armball.
Armball. Well, because yes.
Yeah. You catch it, you run with it.
You run with it. It's armball.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought this through.
Right.
So this is Cosmic Queries Primate Edition. So Natalia,
yes.
you've hung out with primates?
I have.
Non-human primates, presumably also human primates.
Human primates as well. They're, I tolerate them.
You're okay.
Oh, God. I actually studied spider monkeys. I studied a critically endangered subspecies of spider monkey called the Azuero spider monkey in Panama.
Wow.
My main focus was conservation, so I actually was doing a census. The same year that we had our census in 2010, I was in Panama counting spider monkeys.
And did you find that the spider monkeys were cooperative in filling out their census forms?
They were not. They were very ornery. Like, I had to chase these guys down. They threw fruit at me.
That's better than other things they could throw at you.
No. Everybody asks. Everybody asks, do they throw their poop? And I'm like, why would they poop in their hand and throw it? And all they have to do is just gently position their bottom right over your head, and that's what we call getting baptized.
Oh,
when you get baptized in primatology, it's either poop or pee.
Wait a minute, you mean here we have birds that do that on your shoulder. There you have monkeys.
Yeah.
I'm never going.
Yeah, it's you got spiders and you got howlers, and the funny thing is the diet. Whatever you eat affects whatever comes out.
And don't they eat a lot of fruit?
Yes, we talked about how spider monkeys are frugivores. That's their preferred food is fruit, and howler monkeys are follivores, meaning they eat leaves, and their poop stinks. I'm just telling you. Yeah, you can smell them.
What kind of a vor are they?
Fallivore.
What does that mean?
They eat leaves.
Fallivore.
Mm-hmm.
Fallivore.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, and what if they're from Brooklyn and they eat a lot of kale?
Ooh, gosh.
Are they a hipster-vor?
I was going to say, they're just a hipster.
I don't think isn't kale leaves? Right.
Yeah, that's true.
They're a fallivore.
Somebody's leaves, what we call kale.
Right. Kale, yeah. No,
So you worked among them. Did you become one with them?
I wish, man.
Are you the Jane Goodall of spider monkeys?
Well, the funny thing is, I wish. No, I know some great spider monkey researchers that probably should take that particular role. But spider monkeys are called the chimpanzees of the New World because their social behavior is a lot like chimps, as far as they have big groups and they fission off into smaller groups. And as far as
fission.
Fission.
Good physics word.
Yeah, it is a good physics word.
My duty to call it.
Yes, exactly.
Like this.
As opposed to fusion.
Yeah, exactly. Fine. They fuse together in a sleeping tree at the end of the night, and then they fission off to go eat and find food elsewhere. Kind of like how chimps do. They'll have a big group and they'll go off into smaller groups.
And isn't it true? People don't want to believe this, but I think it's true. I read it on the internet.
Oh, no.
No, that chimps and humans are more genetically alike than either chimps or humans are genetically related to the monkeys.
Well, it's the common ancestor. Our common ancestor was more recent between chimps and humans, and as far as the
you have to go
timeline.
farther back in time to get the common ancestor between the common ancestor we had with chimps and all the rest of the monkeys.
All the other monkeys.
Around.
And does that
Primates with tails.
Does
Old
that-
world monkeys and apparently some New World monkeys.
New World monkeys, and those are the only ones, by the way.
Is that all the great apes? Do chimps like orangutans and all those as
the
well?
great
Let's
ape
make the list.
family?
The great ape list. Who is
Great
it?
apes.
There's chimps. There's bonobos. There's orangutans, which are those sexy ginger redheads in the Southeast Asia.
You know what orangutans look like.
I know. Well, I'm just.
There's a whole movie series with orangutan.
Exactly.
With what's his face?
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood. What was
It was called
Any Which Way,
Any Which Way But Up.
but loose and
Anyway,
but there's a whole series.
yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why we know orangutan.
Yeah.
And
It's a
according
good-
to
good
Bill
guess.
Maher, we have one as president.
Oh man, I wouldn't. I don't know. I feel like that's really giving orangutans a bad rap.
Oh, that's a burn.
Yeah, no.
that was rough.
I mean,
That was rough.
yeah, he has the flanges because the male orangs have the flanges.
Correct.
yeah.
Like
yeah,
the big
but not all
giant
males.
jowls,
This
the
is
jolly
a
cheeks.
wider cheek.
This is, these are actually the
Structure.
pads right
Yeah.
here. Those are like the big
Call them flanges.
flanges.
Okay.
Nice. Hey, baby. Nice
their face.
Flanges. Yeah.
Their face.
And you know what that comes from? The mama orangutan's going, such a good boy.
Pinching his cheeks.
What a good boy.
Well, an
The
interesting.
Greek, right? Oh, pinching the cheeks. Right.
They
Wait.
got to do it equally, or else you're just gonna have like one giant weird flange.
So do we have the full list?
No, we
No,
don't.
so go ahead.
Well, actually, those of the great apes, it's humans, humans, gorillas. We didn't get gorillas.
Right.
Chimps, bonobos.
Right.
And then and the orangs are the Southeast.
Orangutans. And how about the
Lesser apes.
baboons?
Baboons or monkeys.
What?
Oh, look at that.
What? What? I thought
No.
they don't have tails though, do they?
Well, they have a little bit of a tail. Like there's stump-tailed macaques, which don't have tails, but they are monkeys. They are
they're
macaques.
monkeys, right.
Yeah, so
I
those
didn't know
they're not
baboon.
part of the. They're not.
I was
part
in
of the
South
great
Africa.
family.
Yeah.
And I eating something out on the porch,
Right.
in the game park, and I would turn around and come back. Baboon stole my bacon right off my plate.
See?
Waited for me to not look.
Damn.
Waited for you.
Waited for me to not look. And you know,
Smart.
that's a monkey. That's an ape.
They are smart
Very
and they are
crafty.
very crafty. And they there's actually great footage if you Google it of a baboon taking down a flamingo. They actually will hunt and kill and eat flamingos, and it looks
Those make
like
some good eating.
Yeah.
probably tastes like shrimp because they eat them.
They eat a lot of shrimp. That's why
That's why they're so
that's
pink.
the color.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's the lesser apes. Oh, by the way, I was just gonna throw in that.
So great apes and
What should be
lesser apes.
discriminating apes?
Yeah.
I know. It's because
what
they're
are the-
diminutive
what are the
size.
lesser apes?
Gibbons.
Gibbons.
Well, gibbons, and then also there's siamungs, which are part of that group, but they're a
Right.
little bit different. They have the throat sac. They are extremely loud. So howler monkeys, which I was kind of showing you that call before we started filming.
Well, don't just share it with us.
Okay.
Now that you brought it up,
So I
you
studied.
have to do it.
I studied spider monkeys, but there are also a lot of howler monkeys where I worked. And
Howler monkey.
howler, so they howl. But you'll hear it's not so much of a howl. It sounds more of like somebody clearing their throat in the morning, but very
So you
loud.
know how to call a howler
I
monkey.
call howler monkeys. Sometimes they call back.
Okay, let's hear.
Sometimes they don't, and I'm sad.
Let's go.
Okay.
Sound like Eddie Murphy laughing.
Wait. So does this make them horny or something? Have you checked the book on that sound?
You know,
to find out what you're doing to them.
Translation guide, the Google Translate's not that great. They're getting there. But no, it's that's how they wake up in the morning, and they'll just kind of let one group know, like, "Hey guys, we're here."
Oh, so it's a wake up thing. It's
Well, no, it's not just. Well, they do it in the morning.
It's their morning show.
So if you travel to Central America or South America, any area, or southern Mexico where they have howler monkeys, a lot of people hear them in the morning, like 5 a.m., and they're like, "What the hell is that? Like,
Right.
what is that?" They think it's a jaguar. They think they're like getting attacked by
It's just
something.
you
It's a little
on spring break
yeah, right.
in Cancun.
It's just this little monkey making its loud, and they have these, great throat sacs, and they're the folivores. So what they do is they let the other howler monkeys know, "Hey guys, we're over here, just so you know," and they kind of communicate that way. So
I read, correct me if I'm wrong, that we have the power to create language because of a genetic defect in whatever it is that makes apes make sounds. That's what I read.
I actually
that
do not know that. I'm going to have to look that up.
Check
Yeah.
that out. We'll
No,
get
I
you
will.
back
Yeah.
and talk about
Yeah,
that.
I don't know because that actually, I mean,
a genetic mutation is a single mutation.
One single mutation
that enabled us to speak.
Separates us and allows us to speak.
Right.
That's awesome.
that is really
It allows us to then communicate more complex ideas, figure out how to put it in a book. So now you don't have to know everything in order to move civilization forward.
Absolutely.
You can stand on the
just go back.
shoulders of those who came before you.
Yeah.
Well, there's been, looking at speech if Neanderthals actually were able to talk, and there's a great special where they actually they think that they might have been able to, but because of the way their the vocal cords or the just the morphology of their throat was they basically had this fairly high pitched voice. It would have been very nasally and very
Mike Tyson. Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to get punched, so he said it, not me.
And that's why they went extinct.
Absolutely. That's exactly, yeah.
They didn't intimidate anybody.
It's
Right?
great. This is great. I'm so glad that we got together like this. It's awesome.
Oh God!
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a high pitch with a lisp.
the list.
List.
Right, that's the
Oh, my
Neanderthal. That's the Neanderthal.
So Chuck, you got questions on this topic, on primates.
On primatology. We
Right,
have a
came in
great
through the
deal of
internet from
people.
Facebook and other sources.
Absolutely.
So bring it on.
Okay, so here we go. Let's
I'll defer everyone because I don't know jack about, I mean, other than humans being apes ourselves.
right.
You know more than the average bear. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, that's
Then I don't know very many bears that know a lot about primates, so maybe that wasn't a good.
you know more than the average primate. There you go.
Okay, so what do you got, Chuck?
Let's start off with Jared Kellogg, coming to us from Facebook, and Jared says this: Are primates still evolving? Are there findings that show human intervention, whether habitat change, food change, etc., has changed how they interact with each other and with us?
Nice question.
So that's
Great
a very
question.
good question.
Well, first of all, everything's still evolving. Nothing has stopped. We're still evolving. Humans are. And as far as monkeys and apes, yes. I mean, in fact, we talk about.
Well, I have a rebuttal to that.
Sure, okay.
Should I wait or should I put it in right now?
You can put it in right now.
Right now. So my rebuttal to that. So I agree that evolution is always a force at work, but that doesn't mean you're speciating. And here's my point. You can split a species, strand both branches from one another. Now they can move independently. You come back in 1 million years, they're different.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. But right now, all humans all over the world can make babies and are.
Yeah.
Now, if we're all making babies,
Sure.
then we are not stranding any one branch of ourselves.
Right.
And if we're all making babies at all times, doesn't that ossify who and what we are in the tree of life?
Yeah.
Because we have the coelacanth that hasn't changed for how long?
Millions.
Millions of years.
Which
Roach, I don't think has changed for
they
much.
thought was extinct, by the way. They
Right,
thought
this
it was
big old fish.
Right.
We got one at the Museum of Natural History in a cabinet.
Oh, yeah.
You see that like the cartilaginous bony
Right.
remains after somebody, I don't know, they ate it, ate the flesh. My point is that you think of a speciation when you isolate branches. This is how you get the exotic animals in Australia, Madagascar and Australia.
Yeah.
So if we're not stranding ourselves, unless we put a colony on Mars, why would we think that one day we're going to be something different?
Well, it's not that we're going to be something different. It's just evolution does not necessarily mean we're becoming a new species. It's just the way that we are exchanging genes is causing, perhaps different. It's the genotype. Metamorphs itself or is expressed in the phenotype sometimes differently, and as populations and as we're becoming this very globalized world, and populations are mixing with other populations that didn't in the past, we're going to see different expressions, whether it's in the way we look or the way that actually are genetically.
We'll all have that together.
Yeah,
Right,
it's not. We're not necessarily becoming a new species, and I'm not saying that chimps will become a new species as they're.
Well, let's get back to them. So now we're in their environment. We're spreading.
Yeah.
Do they have to adapt?
Yeah, of course. I mean, and that's kind of the idea that it's sort of adapt or die out,
Well, that's it.
And that's like we talked about briefly. I think last time was macaques, for instance.
No, last time. Say that.
Oh, sorry. There's a species of monkey called macaques, which are really interesting because, as far as a primate goes, they're the second most widely distributed primate in the world, second to us, to humans.
Interesting.
And what they're able to do is eat anything. They're like humans.
Just
We
like
are
humans.
we're like human little.
Is that the big dividing line?
Yeah.
Being able to, and in fact, there was a really great great study coming out at NYU. A grad student, Alex DeCason, I hope I'm saying her last name right, and James Hyam and another researcher basically found that what you eat is actually what is affecting brain size. It's not necessarily a primate's social skills.
Right.
And so diet has a lot to do with not only...
so that, as a matter of fact, wasn't that when we started using fire and then roasting meat and then getting bigger sources of protein that caused our brains to become larger?
Yeah, but not just meat, because if you think about it, brains take a lot of calories to function. And so it's not just about eating protein, but also even eating like carbohydrates, so being able to cook tubers and roots and things like that. So the actual ability to eat.
Just to keep eating.
Yeah, eating things that are high.
Just keep eating.
In front of you.
Right.
And to thrive anywhere. Like humans are amazing. I mean, we can live in the Arctic and survive off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and do.
But the more specialized your diet, the more you are in danger.
The more susceptible you are.
Right.
Especially when it comes to interaction with your environment. If, say, for instance, spider monkeys, the ones that I study, with deforestation, there's not a lot of fruit available. So it's problematic for them.
They can just go to Whole Foods.
They can go to, right, exactly. They can go hit the farm. Well, that's the thing is...
Farmer's market in the forest.
But that happens. Primates will actually forage on other people's, on people's property and eat their food at farms, and farmers will get mad and will attack and kill them because they see them as a threat to their livelihood. So we're threatening their livelihood.
When really we came in and took over their territory.
Ooh, that's cold.
Yeah,
that is cold. That ain't right.
No, and it's you see it with orangutans. In fact, farmers have killed orangutans in the past because of just them foraging for crops because they're hungry. I mean, you would do it too. We got to eat.
Orangutans like highly intelligent creatures?
Oh yeah, I mean they're great. They're great apes, so like us, and they're really good at imitation. So they'll see somebody using a hammer and nail, and you'll look over later on, and there's the orang just sort of. You're not really necessarily hammering anything or doing
when you
anything.
say imitations, I thought they were doing. I thought they were doing impressions like here's my Jay Leno.
Imitation.
I would pay good money to see that.
So when I was a kid, I'm old enough to have seen Planet of the Apes in first run theaters.
Okay.
How old I am. I did not see Planet of the Apes again until 40 years later.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's a deep movie.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh. And in it,
with the best ending in the world.
In it, the different lines of primates have different roles in the society.
Yes.
So the orangutans, if I remember correctly, they were the diplomats.
And the big thinkers.
And the big thinkers. And the gorillas were the
security
guards. Okay? And guess who the scientists were? They were the chimpanzees, the ones closest to the humans. So they were just all apes when I saw the movie.
Right.
The Planet of the Apes.
Right.
And so they actually did some
thinking,
some dividing and splitting. Yeah.
Because even in the most recent one, I remember watching it and because
the most recent Planet of the Apes.
The Apes movies, yes, and they had the same sort of the different groups of great apes. But I almost wish they could take it a step further. And I know I'm just being a little too pointed and particular.
What would that step be?
Well, that step would be because they have different social groups. So orangutans don't usually live in social groups. They live, it's a single mom with her infants and then a single dad, and they both are kind of solitary. But of course, that doesn't make for a very good movie if they're where are the orangutans?
But if they're clever screenwriters, they could possibly build that in. Yeah. Once you have a variation in something, do something with it. Yeah.
A loner orangutan. You talking to me?
Yeah, right.
I don't see anybody else here. You must be talking to me.
Brooklyn orangutan.
Right? Oh God, it's him again. Okay.
Guys, nothing but trouble.
We got to take a break. We'll come back and we'll get a bunch more questions in on primates as the topic with our special guest, Natalia Reagan, anthropologist and primate expert, when we return. We're back on StarTalk. Neil Tyson here. Sometimes with a deGrasse in between.
Is deGrasse greener?
deGrasse is greener. Neil on deGrasse. Right. Nice, always good to have you as
always
co-host.
Always a pleasure.
Natalia Reagan. I keep calling you Regan. It's Reagan. Natalia Reagan.
Okay, I'll answer to anything.
You'll answer to it. You're an anthropologist and you've worked in the field, specializing in spider monkeys.
Yes.
But we assume you have some osmotic knowledge of other members of the primate community.
Primate world, yes.
Primate universe. The Primativerse. course. So what do you have, Chuck?
All right, let's jump right
Cosmic
back
Queries.
into it. Cosmic Queries. So, we have your questions here. Let's get right into it. John Clemens wants to know this. He's asking you specifically, Natalia, do you have a favorite primate?
Oh, gosh. I feel like I would be a total jerk if I didn't say spider monkeys.
Just because you studied them?
Ooh, they're pretty. Well, here, I'm going to say a couple cool things.
That's a lame reason.
That is a lame reason.
No.
I can't no. We can't let you off the hook on that.
Just because you wrote papers on it.
Right.
What?
Well, actually, spider monkeys are pretty, I think, fantastic. Not only do they.
So then here it is.
Yep.
What distinguishes them to make them high on your list from all the other primates?
Well, okay. So I love the fact that we talked about the frugivore thing, that they spider monkeys eat primarily fruit. The ones that I studied in Panama were so tenacious. As far as the deforestation problem in Panama, it's bad. And I saw spider monkeys, groups living in what should be a corridor between two huge fragments, living in just the corridor. So they were able to scrap together a living, and by living I mean food, and still had infants, on their back and on their front. I1 and I2, those are the different stages of infancy. And so they were still able to make it in this really degraded.
So they reorganized their civilization to still survive in spite of what humans are doing.
Yes. And they also, one of the cool.
Actually, they're working on nuclear weapons.
Oh my God. A spider monkey with the codes.
The launch codes.
Oh God.
That's
and they have the prehensile tail, so all they had to do is just kind of like boop.
Prehensile means it can grip.
It could actually a prehensile, and only New World monkeys, by the way, have that, and not all of them. Only a few do. But also, this is an interesting fact. Spider monkeys.
Be the judge of that.
I think you'll like it. Female spider monkeys have the hypertrophic clitoris.
I don't know what that means.
Right?
Yeah,
I know what one of those words is.
Right?
Yeah.
The other one, I don't know what the word is.
Yes,
So
I certainly don't know. I certainly know what hypertrophic means. What is this other word you said?
Should I get a map? Does someone need a map? Well,
So these are spider monkeys.
these are spider monkeys, and females.
Female spider monkeys.
Yes, they have. It basically looks like almost an index finger hanging down. It's a dangler. It's a pseudopenis, and it looks like it would be. The first time I ever saw a female spider monkey, I thought, oh, those are some male spider monkeys.
Right.
To which I was told, no.
So these were hypertrophic means bigger.
Yeah, well, it's extending from the body. Yes.
Extending from the body.
That's
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what is the purpose of a
dangler.
hypertrophic clitoris?
Well,
a dangling clitoris?
That's the thing. There's different ideas of what that could be, but there's no actual accepted theory about why there is the hypertrophic clitoris. One of them is that it makes it easy to identify females from a far distance, because it really does. I mean, it helps us researchers. I know from if I have binoculars,
Right.
I see it. The dangler.
So what does the male penis do then?
The male penis actually, it's actually not too shabby itself. I actually have seen some copulations in the field. And by the way, spider monkeys have very long copulations compared to other.
StarTalk.
Yes, I was going to say.
Hours.
Yes. Welcome to monkey porn.
Right? Exactly.
So no.
No, they have very long copulate, because I actually had to write an entry in the Primatological Encyclopedia that's coming out on intromission pattern and copulatory posture, which is basically monkey sex positions.
Right.
To the layperson. But I had to talk about how long spider monkeys will engage, and it's usually on the upwards of like 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, they can be for a very long time.
Well, I have to. Look at that.
That right there is a hyena pseudopenis. That's a female.
That's a female hyena right there.
That's a clitoris. And actually, hyenas give birth through their clitoris.
So for those of you who do not have the benefit of StarTalkAllAccess.com, right now we are looking at a picture that is up on the screen. It is a female hyena who is gestating right now. She's pregnant, and she has a hypertrophic clitoris.
Yeah.
And the clitoris doubles as the birth canal.
Yeah. I mean that. So when men say like, "Oh, I could never have a child because could you imagine, giving birth through a urethra?" Meet the hyena. That can't feel great.
Okay.
Maybe it does.
Maybe, you're right. Maybe, yeah, right.
Right.
Maybe it's like, whoa.
Maybe that's nature's reward for them.
Hey.
I'm just saying.
Hey.
Right.
Okay,
You'd have
so
some words.
spider.
So she's giving some arguments there.
I'm going to give you some arguments.
All right. We'll
pretty
give you
great.
that.
All right. Well, let's
Great,
move
guys.
on. Let's go to Juco Van Nanen. Or Van Nanen. Okay. From Helsinki, Finland. What's your guess? Are there primates in the TRAPPIST-1 system? That's to you, Neil. And I think he's just trying to find a way to get to ask you about TRAPPIST-1.
So the TRAPPIST-1 is a star system. It has 7 recently discovered Earth-like planets, 3 of which are orbiting in the Goldilocks zone, where there's not too hot, not too cold. You can sustain liquid water. That's about all we know right now. These planets do cross the surface cross between us and our sight line to the host star. There's a cottage industry ready to blossom, where we will study the ingredients of the atmospheres of these planets
So cool.
by analyzing the light of the host star as it passes through that atmosphere. And so then you can say, oh, does it have oxygen? Is there methane? Is there any of this other stuff? So what we don't know, we can't look at the surface yet, but we are in search of biomarkers.
Okay.
So what we would do to answer that question, take it seriously, is we would ask you, Natalia, is there any effect that primates have on their atmosphere so that when we study the chemical composition of the atmosphere, we can say, it's got primates? That would be the question.
Wow.
That's really
Because
cool.
if it has methane, for example, maybe there's a farming industry, because methane is a byproduct of farms.
Or Mexican food.
Beans.
It is a primary ingredient of flatulence. Maybe does it have termites? There's, maybe it's not uniquely implicating them, but it could be suggestive of it. So from what you know, do primates have any special impact on their atmosphere?
In their environment? Well, what they do, I mean, it's not so much, I think, the atmosphere as far as
Air.
But, so for instance, we talked about spider monkeys eating fruit or other monkeys eating fruit. That is a way, they are actually distributors of those seeds. So
The same way bees pollinate flowers, they carry the seed, the fruit, and actually...
They eat the whole fruit, including the seeds. But you can't digest the seeds.
Right, so that comes out.
And they poop it out. And that. So this is the plant's diabolical plan to spread their seeds.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's amazing.
there was one theory that I read years ago about how
Wait. You can imagine the plant scientists saying, okay, we're going to produce this fruit. Now, how do we get it? Let's put it through the entire digestive system of a bear. Let's do that. But we have to make the casing strong enough so it resist the digestive things.
Right.
Then they'll poop it over here, poop it over there, and we can spread. Yeah. These are like...
Yep. No, I actually, so I hosted a Bigfoot show years ago called Bigfoot Bounty, and we found, and we'd had the contestants going out looking for biomaterials that could be Bigfoot's poop, basically. And there was one turd that I found. I'll never forget this turd.
That is a sentence I'd never thought I would hear in my life. That was a sentence.
Yep.
It was
That's one of these
gleaming.
never before spoken sentence. There was one turd I never thought I'd find in my
That was
life.
StarTalk history right there.
It was a beautiful turd. It was purple, and I just looked at it, and it was clearly a bear turd, but it was all just blackberries. It was just like it was just all seed. It almost looked like it was like a candy confection thing, but it was a turd. I did not
Stop there. We don't.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't, please, whatever you do, don't ruin candy for me. I have very few things left in my life.
Yeah, sorry about that.
All right.
But as far, so seed distribution and, obviously,
So what we'd have to do is we would need more than the atmosphere. We would need some other geographic data.
Yeah.
To
Well,
then
also,
compare.
environmental DNA is very interesting. Like they'll leave behind, if something, say, for instance, bites or stings them, or well, not stings, but more bites, like a blood-sucking insect, we could dissect their blood meal and find if there are primates living
I saw
in the
that
area.
movie. Jurassic Park. I saw that.
No, that's amber. This is actually no. You can do ecological surveys now like that.
Okay.
I'm not kidding.
So this is their DNA remnants from various things that happen.
Well, it's just blood that's in the like, say, if a mosquito bites
Right. That's what I'm saying. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So your DNA signature is outside of yourself.
Yeah.
In some way.
Environmental
or another.
DNA.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that was very cool.
What else you got, Chuck?
All right, here we go. Let's talk about Antonio Rodriguez, who wants to know this. Are there primate hybrids?
Yes.
Ooh.
Very good question.
It is a very good question.
Primate hybrids.
There are primate hybrids.
Who's
What
been
is the hybrid?
Who's been hybridizing?
Who's hybridizing them?
Baboons, actually, back to baboons, they do hybridize, and they are able to produce offspring. So
With
other baboons. So it's
no, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about like a centaur.
they're different oh God,
like a minotaur.
No, that
That would be that'd be so
like
weird.
a baboon minotaur, like some kind of chimera,
want
man.
me
I want like a chupacabra, like a baboon chupacabra.
You know what's funny? The centaur.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's half horse, half man.
Man.
Okay. And the minotaur. This is just weird. It's half man, half bull. But the rear. It's a human butt.
Yes.
That's just weird.
Yeah.
It's all human up to the waist. So it's got a human butt.
It's so weird.
That's just don't think that through.
I know.
It's very top heavy too. Like I would.
Yeah, I know.
You just like
We
fall
got a little
over all the
difficult.
time.
Yeah, difficult to walk around as a minotaur.
Okay, so but we're talking about blending genes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so are the great apes close enough to one another genetically that they can crossbreed? I think that's
Yeah,
what
I think
the-
yeah.
no, and that's the thing. So baboons are able. There's multiple species of baboon that are able to do that.
Okay, but we still call them all baboons.
But they're different species of baboons. So there's the olive baboons. There's hamadryas. There's gelada baboons, which are fantastic. But
that's not interesting.
I know.
Okay.
I get it. As far as of a chimp and a gorilla,
Yeah.
oh
Like
God.
what we want is a chimpoon.
No.
Chimpoon or chimparilla.
A chimparilla. That's even better.
No, that having I'm sure they could mate. A lot of things can mate with each other, but I don't think they'd actually produce viable offspring. No.
Okay.
And we haven't seen that. Now, how about chimps and bonobos?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, chimps and bonobos or bonobos probably could. They haven't seen any, I think, hybrids coming out of them.
Geographically, where do we find them?
Well, that's the thing is they do have some overlap. Bonobos are only in DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, formerly Zaire. Chimps are in multiple places throughout Africa, DRC. They're in Republic of Congo and just various places throughout in Western and
DRC, by
Eastern
the way, is a very famous wine, just so you know.
Is it really?
Domaine de la Romani Conti.
Where-
It's too many syllables for Americans. We just call it DRC.
DRC.
Yeah.
Wow, is it produced?
It's in Burgundy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Well,
We said DRC. I said, wow. Yeah. Good wine.
they're winemakers, bonobos. That's also probably why they're making love all the time.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Run by females. They want their wine and they want their sweet love. But as far as them mixing with chimps, I don't know of any studies that have come out. But there was a species of it was a chimp, a group of chimps in an area of DRC that they were so large that they thought they could be a hybrid of gorillas and chimps. It turns out they're just chimps, but
they're just
at the
really
time,
large.
Bigger chimps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a good friend of mine actually
They're
studied
chimps
them.
with gym memberships.
They were just like,
Dude, what are you juicing?
they're CrossFit chimps.
Right.
So-
They're literally juicing. They're
Oh my God.
juicing their fruits.
Yeah, they are. It's you gotta do what you gotta do.
All right, so
give me one more. You got
All right, yeah,
time for
let's-
one last
we got
question.
time
We have
for
to
one
be
more?
quick. Yeah.
All right, so okay, that's too much there. That's too much.
All right.
That one was funny.
Natalia's looking over your shoulder. She
Yes,
laughed at one.
you're not supposed to do that.
All right.
Okay.
Surprise me.
As humans, are we progressing? No, let's forget that one.
Wait, who, what?
Okay. As humans, are we, Chris Schneider, as humans, are we progressing forward or are we idling with all the technology that is so easily available? In other
That's a
words,
great question.
are we going to evolve because of our technology? Like, will that turn us into different humans and thereby further separating us from our primate
Here's what we can do.
cousins?
We can turn ourselves into superhumans and then turn chimps into humans.
If only
Then they can
it
do
were
all the
that
human
easy.
work, and
Oh,
then we
great.
can go to the Bahamas.
I love it.
Oh, I don't. I think there's an ethical question there. That is probably not a good idea.
Okay.
No.
I don't know. I was just spitballing there. I don't know.
Although, yeah, I don't know. I mean, chimps are really aggressive. I don't know if I want them like taking out my trash.
Well, is there any attempt to, in the spirit of that question, is there any attempt to modify their DNA to make them more capable of surviving their environment in one
Chimps?
way or another? Yeah.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
No, not. I mean, like modifying their DNA. No, I mean even like the new gene editing we have in humans, like
Right.
CRISPR, and there's a new one that I read about recently. That's even you could actually inject a living person with edited genes that are it's supposed to take effect. It worked on lab rats. But that's run into a lot of ethical questions. But as far as trying to change living primates to better adapt, no, it's just mostly trying to change human behavior so they can live longer, hopefully push, for instance, like in orangutans with deforestation, we're trying to get people not to use palm oil because that's a big problem there. So things like that. We're trying to amend our behavior rather than expecting them to just sort of like change your diet, become a new species.
Wait, what's wrong with palm oil?
Well, palm oil plantations are basically a big cause of deforestation in...
For whatever was there before.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So it's not, the palm oil itself is not a bad thing. It's just the way it's being
cut it
produced.
down. We cut down a bunch of trees so that we can actually raise palm oil.
Yeah. And then,
but I love me some coconut. I'm not getting on my
oh, yeah. No.
coconut go way back.
Coconut's very good for you.
We got to take a break. You've been listening to, and some of you may have even been watching, this episode of Star Talk, Cosmic Queries Primate Edition with anthropologist Natalia Reagan when we come back. We're back on Star Talk, Cosmic Queries Primate Edition. Yes, humans are primates, just in case you didn't know. You're animals.
Yes.
And even if you didn't know we were animals, your mama told you at least once in your life.
You're some kind of animal?
Exactly. Well, as a matter of fact, yeah.
Well, yes, I am.
Well,
Isn't that what they say? What the parents, what the teachers say to kids who don't yet know they're going to be professional comedians? They'll say something in class, and the teacher says, "What are you, a comedian?"
I wish I could go back to every single time that happened to me. I kid you not, Neil. I actually dream of being able to get into a time machine. That's one of the
Chuck,
places I would
the
go.
first thing, if I invent a time machine, we'll get that squared out.
Please.
Then we'll solve world problems.
And believe me, it would go just like this. What are you, some kind of comedian? Just wait, bitch. Oh, sorry. I couldn't.
Fast forward.
So Natalia Reagan, you're here to help us answer questions on primates
yeah.
that came through our social media network. So give me more. Chuck.
Okay, here we go. Don Rim from Facebook says this. Judging from the study of Coco the gorilla, do you believe that primates and other animals are capable of higher learning?
Good question.
It is a good question. So not just Coco, there's multiple examples of non-human primates that were...
Coco was a gorilla.
Coco
There are
is
also some chimpanzee ones, too.
Yeah, Washoe. There's been a lot...
What was the name of that one?
Washoe.
Washoe, yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Right? Washoe the chimp.
And yeah, so as far as cognitive abilities, there's a lot that non-human primates can do. And there's been studies not just having to do sign language and things of that sort, but actually being able to understand and remember patterns. They found that chimps were actually better at doing some of those pattern memory tests than actual humans were. So there are a lot of abilities that I think non-human primates have in terms of cognition, but we also have to remember that measuring cognition in animals is not just about being able to, do algebra or calculus. It's about, social intelligence and being able to communicate in ways that works for them, because it's not about adapting and surviving in our world. It's about adapting and surviving in their world.
Maybe if they had a need for algebra, they would actually
understand
and develop an understanding of algebra, but they don't have a need for it.
No.
So.
That would be scary.
Yeah,
I don't want no ape doing better on my math test than I am.
Well, they score better on their SATs than me.
So do you know Carl Sagan's famous quote? I think it was in reference to dolphins, but it could easily be applied to chimps. It was, we have found some dolphins that have managed to make gestures that make it clear that they understand what we're talking about, but we have yet to find any human that can speak dolphin.
Right?
Wow.
I mean, we are so species-centric in so many ways.
Wasn't that good? It's Carl
That's
Sagan.
good.
Yeah.
I try to talk to cats, man, but I don't know if they get me. I try to understand what they're saying.
Oh, they get you. They're just ignoring you. That's a cat, right?
Did you see the XKCD comic about that?
No.
Okay, so I got to laugh first before I even say it. Okay, so this guy comes home, right? And there's a cat sitting on the edge of the couch.
Right.
And obviously just came home from his day. And the caption is, "If cats could talk." Okay? So he comes and says, "Hi, kitty witty. How are you?" And the cat looks up and just goes back to what he was doing. Doesn't say it.
There you go.
If cats could talk.
There's never. That's a perfect.
That's appropriate.
That's perfect.
The best comic
If
ever.
cats could talk, that's perfect.
Yeah, it just looks up and then just
Look
goes
right back down. There you have it.
No, I
That's
100%
fantastic.
agree.
I love
So
it.
give me some cosmic queries.
All right, here we go. Evolution is at a cellular level. This is from Michelle Tapia. DNA writes our shape. Adding it here and there can change you. Okay, thanks so much, Michelle. That was the end of it. She was just like, there you go. That's what, is that really what evolution is, though? I'll ask the question. Is that indeed what evolution is?
It is.
The change on a cellular level.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the passing down of different genetic material, and it starts at a cellular level. But it also, it doesn't necessarily manifest itself immediately. The genes are passed down and might actually be seen generations from now that had been in your family for generations, but it's also not goal driven.
Wait, but if I'm born with 6 fingers, that 6th finger is not just a cell. That's a whole thing in my body.
Exactly.
And now I got the 6th finger gene.
It's a weird mutation, man.
Yeah. And if I start making babies with other 6-fingered mateable partners, we can start a new base 12 arithmetic system.
That's right. And
like
you'll be the most awesome piano players in the world.
Oh my gosh. Stand-up bass, you'd just be the fastest fingers.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Right?
I play the sitar better than anybody you've ever seen.
6-fingered man.
All right, here we go. Why do apes retain or perpetuate? The kindred instinct. No signs of actual hate or feud against each other. And us humans appear to have lost this identity. But is that true about other apes?
I wouldn't say that. I think apes and
Is there ape homicide?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Chimps will kill one another. So,
But are there ape muggings?
right. Exactly.
So funny.
Give me your banana.
Give me that banana.
Give me that banana.
Give me your banana.
Hey, man, I don't want no trouble. I don't want no trouble, man.
I just want the banana. Just the rest of what's in your wallet.
That's right.
Your money's no good here. Give me your food. Well, that's the funny thing is, like, for them, currency is food. Like, I've done a video on this about how, chimps will give gifts of fruit in hopes of getting a little extra side nookie just because that is.
Fruit for nookie.
Well, it's kind of like buying your sweetheart a necklace or something like that. It's an exchange. It's an exchange. But anyways, back to the question.
Fruit is cheaper than diamonds.
I was going to say.
Mangoes.
These guys got it good.
If only.
These guys got it good, man. I wish I could come home. Hey, baby, here's an orange. I wish I could. Hey, how you doing? Here's an orange, and you know what? Here's a few grapes on me, just to make it even sweeter. Oh my God!
If only life were that simple,
Right.
man. Oh gosh. But yeah, as far as altruism and kindness, there is that in the animal world. We see that in multiple species, not just in primates, human and non-human, but there is aggression. Chimpanzees are known for a lot of in-group fighting. Mm-hmm. They'll have alpha male.
They gang war too.
Yeah, they do.
They gang war.
But the thing is, we don't like to get lost
in the
idea,
blood.
right? Oh my God, you don't wear blue in this part of the forest. Don't wear red there.
I'm just trying. I'm a fan of the West Side Story, the movie. I just can't. They come out, they start dancing. Did he?
Boy,
God.
crazy chimp boy.
Cool boy.
Got the monkeys in the trees as a
That's
chorus.
so great. No, but they do. So they are
do.
violent.
Yeah, no, they'll have coalitions where they'll circle their territory, and if they see a chimp from a nearby group that shouldn't be there, they will attack and they will kill, and sometimes they will do things like eat that particular chimp.
All right.
Yeah, it could be pretty bloody,
Eat
but
them. This is I will eat your heart and get your strength that you had.
I don't know who my favorite primate is, but I'm quickly finding out who my least favorite is.
But also we have to remember, even though they can be very aggressive, so are humans in some ways. But we are way more cooperative as are chimps than aggressive, I think.
Okay.
Because
On balance, yeah.
I mean, because otherwise it would they'd all be dead.
We'd be
You know
killing
what I
each
mean?
other all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Cooperation is a big part of who we are and other primates.
You can go a whole year and not want to kill anyone.
Whoa.
Just saying.
I don't know if that's possible right now.
All right, let's get this one in
some
before
more.
our lightning round because Guy Zachary Aaron Klossner wants to know this. Can you explain some of the stranger mating dominance rituals that various primates do? I'm thinking about silverbacks as well as baboons.
Tell us about some of these rituals.
Well, I
Top
mean-
3 primate mating
Okay.
rituals.
Yeah, way to break
Well,
it
I
down.
mean-
Top 3 primate rituals, mating rituals.
Mating I don't know if there's like so much a ritual, but there's just the way they go about it. Orangutans, one of the things that people don't know is it's males or solitary, females forage usually alone with whatever infant they have. and it can get a little rough. If a female's not interested in a male, males will do forced copulation. And so which is,
terrible.
it happens.
Ape rape.
You know, ape, yep.
That's terrible.
Or just
too.
rape.
Yes.
That would be their combined.
Is that what they? Oh God.
It is. It's
ape
forced
rape.
copulation.
So this happens.
It does happen, and to romanticize.
Does that mean the male is stronger than the female?
Yes, and so there's sexual dimorphism. Sexual dimorphism means that there's a size difference between males and females on average between
It could go either
in a
way,
species.
depending on the species. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like black widows. I mean, have you ever seen a male black widow? Probably
they're-
not because they're so small. They're
They're
itty bitty.
lame. They're completely lame.
Yeah, they're
Me, dear.
so lame. Oh my god.
So any other very
so,
unusual primate mating rituals?
I'm trying to think of actual funny rituals.
So now, what about the? Okay, is this the baboon or whose butt gets inflamed
Okay.
and red?
So yeah, in fact, a friend of
Looking at a
mine.
baboon butt.
Yeah, I know baboons, and my friend is actually right now on her way to Zambia to do research. Megan Petersdorf, and she actually will be. She's at New York University, but she will be looking at sexual swellings of baboons. And my friend Todd Dissetel, also of NYU. They developed a laser system so they can actually measure the size of her swollen
Laser
vulva.
metric system.
Yeah, to measure the size of this swollen vulva, and it's a signal to the opposite sex that they are ready to get down. That is a scientific term. You can tell your friends and family.
Okay.
But yeah, chimps have the same sexual swellings. Bonobos as well will get these sexual swellings when they're.
Is that because they're in heat?
Yeah, they don't have heat.
Humans,
quite
we're
like,
not ever. It's not a heat thing.
no, wait. Well, we have we have concealed ovulation, which is a whole nother. That's a whole nother show, which is very interesting. And there's different theories of why we have. You can't unless you really know your partner, or you can huff it on them. You can smell like something's up. You don't really
There's
know
no man
when
who
a
knows
woman's
when his woman is
ovulating.
ovulating. I don't care what anybody. There's not a man
Okay,
alive.
what the damn
I don't care
research
what the
says.
research says. Not
Throw
a
the
man
thermometer.
alive who is like, honey, it's. I would say let's make love, but I'm pretty sure you're ovulating. No, we do not
There's
know.
people that do the whole, the rhythm method, and they know this kind of stuff.
But I'm intrigued that among primates, counting us with this group, that
They have a time.
concealed ovulation and others don't.
Right.
Yeah.
That's intriguing
Not
to me.
all
That is
non-human
because the
primates.
other primates do not have child custody cases.
Well, it's interesting, and a lot of those primate species that have the sexual swellings, they do live in large groups. So if, for instance, somebody does give birth and you don't know who, was it Steve, Jim, Bob, who knows,
Right.
the village, but basically they take care of their
they're
own
cool
infant.
with
They're
it.
cool. Like, it's okay.
Right.
They don't necessarily.
village to
there's
raise
no
an infant.
It's a village,
There's no, Jerry Springer.
Unlike us, no guy wants to answer the door. Hey, what's up? Hey, man, yeah, I'm here to pick up your wife and kids.
Yeah.
All right.
We gotta go to lightning round.
Let's go to the lightning round. All right, here we go. Mubin Ahmed wants to know this. Can monkeys be lunatics?
Yes.
Next question. Monkeys can act a little crazy.
Oh, yeah.
and go off the ranch.
Yes, they can be. There are those outliers that and there's even freeloading monkeys that take too much and don't give back, that other monkeys will kind of spurn and
Oh, okay.
ostracize.
Good. Next one, go.
All right, Petros in Zeuszulas wants to know this. How can all Homo sapiens be nearly genetically identical to each other when not all Homo sapiens interbreeded with Neanderthal?
Ooh. Just to put it clear, as I remember it, there are Europe especially, but there are branches of the human species that have more Neanderthal than others.
Yes. So if you only have if you're only of African descent and
have no Neanderthal.
No Neanderthal, but they also have a new. There's Denisovans, which are a group that lived in Asia that basically are found in populations in Asia and. Melanesia, and then there's also a new unknown DNA that they don't know, they don't have fossil evidence for, that also admixed with humans, but they're found in like Australia.
So what does it mean for us to be close to one another, but some have Neanderthal and others don't?
Don't.
What does it mean?
Well, basically it means there's a founder population in Africa. There's more genetic diversity between those living within or that are from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And then those that have spread out. So
Okay, so we are different on the level that these differences manifest.
yes.
but we can all still interbreed.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
No,
So it's a small difference.
It was a very small sample of humans that had mixed with Neanderthals. It was not a lot. It was not like it wasn't happening every. As Todd, I had a Neanderthal show this weekend. He brought up the fact that they think it was only several thousand or maybe several hundreds, not like thousands of instances of admixture.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a ton of DNA that got into our system.
So for some people, you get to say, stop being a Neanderthal because
Right.
they got actually some of that in them.
Right.
But Neanderthals weren't all that bad.
Oh, we have a Neanderthal sympathizer.
Exactly.
I mean, they weren't like.
You love him so much, why don't you marry one?
Hey, I might.
We got to bring that to a halt here. Natalia Reagan, thank you for being on StarTalk.
Thank you for having
And
me.
Chuck,
Hey,
always good to have you.
always good to be here,
And
man.
when you're not with me, you're with Gary O'Reilly. Okay.
Well, it's not really like that.
It's not like that. You're playing with
We're
science
just
with
friends,
Gary O'Reilly.
Leave me two alone.
Just call me sometime, okay? I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist, as always, bidding you to keep looking up. This is StarTalk.